Alright, so finally going to put hands back on this guy today. I want to get that valve adjusted. There's another thing I want to try. It's going to be a hokey repair. If I'm happy with it, then I pretty much guarantee it's going to be safe. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I'm going to get to that. And I did have a couple people mention that I should do some like active videoing rather than just the time-lapsing, like showing actually working on it and stuff like that. That's tough because like with a time lapse, with me putting together say like a half-hour video for YouTube, there could be in those time lapse, it could be anywhere from like 7 to 18 hours of work squeezed in that little bit of time that you guys get to have a glimpse of, and that kind of covers more of a broad spectrum of things. So I think that in my opinion before was that gives you a bigger grasp of all the work that goes into it. You're kind of watching all of it rather than pieces here and there. So like I'm going to do some work on this in this section of video. This could be 45 minutes of this little section of video. If it's what everybody wants to see, awesome. I'll do a ton of it. And I do appreciate the input for sure. I want this channel to grow. I want this to become a thing eventually. So if anybody wants to give any other input, less talking like this, like less of this, more of this, less explaining things, more explaining things, more active videoing rather than time lapsing. You're happy with the time lapse and you want to see more active videoing and whatnot, just let me know and I'll do the best I can to kind of figure out what works. It's just I'm trying to make it where people will watch it and you get a good bang for your buck, or for your time rather, is basically it. And like if you spend 45 minutes, you get a big grasp. Like in a half-hour video, you get to experience basically what I did in a whole day of busting my butt. So I'm going to do that with this. I'm going to do a little bit of active videoing now. Let's see what happens and just give me your input. All right, so we're going to start with some of this live video, and basically this valve was just kind of sitting here and I want to get that rear valve adjusted to start with. So I'll get these bolts out of here so they don't fall. Here somewhere. And yeah, so I need to get a 5/8 and that one. Let's see what we got here. All right, so that's the right size wrench. This is the right size Allen. Too big. That's the one. That one fits. All right, so that's underway. Now, what I need to do is I need to get down to crank the motor over. Oh, let's get this thing backed out first, shall we? Yeah, we'll let that lock back way out. And basically the way these work is this outer nut is what does all the adjustment, and then there's a little jam nut down in the middle where once you get your adjustment, you lock that in. That's what I forgot to tighten, I guess, on that other one. So I'm just going to kind of check the rest of them. And I was just jumping all over the place, so I'm just going to go straight in a row, just to make sure. And I know I just did that last one. All right. So now, let's see if now that I got the fan and everything else in there, I can still get down there to crank this over by hand. Yeah. Yep.
I remember when I bought that over in Manchester from some guy in fucking Manchester. And he goes, yeah, I bought it. I used it to do my deck. I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Nice.
I come out here, power washing John's like, oh, go get you this synthetic fan. It's awesome. You never have to do it again. And it's like trash now, 3 years later.
Yeah.
But when I was done power washing, I was like, oh, that's why the guy sold it. I probably could have paid someone $200.
Yeah.
All this work.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna let it dry a little bit and then try to blow all the crumb grease off. Then I'll hit it with that one.
Nice.
Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not telling them a walkway.
Yeah, exactly, right? Okay, so turning it that way is definitely opening that valve. So I want to go the other way. And that's usually not easy with the fan. Let's go do this. Nope. So, I guess I could tighten that alternator belt a little bit, huh? I can turn it that easily. Alternator and power steering, they're both. Oh yeah, that power steering belt's loose. So what happens when you just throw something together and just take it out and thrash it immediately without any like road testing. Road testing definitely helps for all those little things. Take things for a rip, double check things. Tighten belts, top off fluids, but there wasn't any time for that on this build. So, alright, so that valve's still going down. There's really crap space in here. How big of a car this thing is. Sure isn't any engine room. So basically I'm going to put you guys back over here. And I can get you guys right in there. Let's try and get this stuff going right here. Let's try and be professional. Alright, so basically I'm watching for this one to start going down, the very last one. When I know that one's going down, then I know this one's on its base circle, and that's ready to be adjusted. So feel free to yell out if you see that back one come up and I'm not paying attention. I'm just kidding. It's not live video. I would really like to have my really long 1/2-inch drive ratchet that's like a foot longer than this. Get my hand right out of this fan. Let me rummage his toolbox, see what he's got something longer. That's a little better. There we go. Now, I was using the bottom one. You look, that top one, that's got about an extra 6 inches on it. That should get me out of scraping my hands away, maybe. if the socket and ratchet combination works the same and gets me just past the pulley but inside the fan blade, which is a delicate balance. Hammer. Oh, this is luxurious. Way better. There we go, that exhaust is starting to go down. That's what we want to see. And then, remember from the last go around, I got my feeler gauge here. Put that guy in there. Wait, I cranked this thing down a ton already. Oh, wait a minute. I think, oh no, we got another problem. We got another problem, boys and girls. That was loose. But was it loose because of another reason, or did that push rod pop out of its hole? I don't think the push rod popped out of its hole. That push rod might have broken. Or bent. It bent. Oh, that's a bummer. Can't even get it out of there. I bet you from it being loose, it popped to the side and bent. Now I'm worried about the lifter. Wow, that feels really smooth. That thing is spinning like totally true. It's just way too low. The thing is the rocker arm still looks good. I guess this is a good time to have the live video going. Keep saying live. I know it's not live. I know you guys ain't here. Sorry about that. Alright. Now the camera's showing that it's really bright in there, but it's really not. So I'm going to bring in some extra light for myself here. Because just see what's going on here. Yeah, the tip of this push rod's all banged up. That's wild. Like, I wonder if this thing like flared in the middle or something. Because like, that's as far as it'll come up. But then, like I said, if I put it down there, that thing's not like, typically it would be like walking around in a circle if it's bent. Let me get this gasket out of the way. Maybe I can see something in there. This may be a phenomenon. Phenomenon? Phenomenon. Can't see down there to see what's going on. So the end of this push rod is definitely bad anyway. So I'm just going to grip it with the vice grips. See if I can yank this thing up and out of here. Wow. Trying not to yank it, smash my arm on the hood. Huh. I just ripped a little insert right out of the end of the thing. Huh. I've never pulled one of those out before. All right. Yeah, put this back in. Oh wow, that's like barely even there, but the tube's wanting to crush. So maybe I'll leave that in there. If this is just a bad push rod and that lifter is okay down there, I would really love to just be able to drop a lifter in here. I think it's coming. Yeah, I think it's split. Yeah, it's split. Oh, this is wild. I've never had one do this before. And I've broken a lot of valve train in my day. Hopefully it stays together and every piece of it comes up and out of it. 'Cause if every piece of it comes up and out, and I can get the boroscope down there, and that lifter looks okay, then I can just drop in another one and go like hell. Oh, gosh, she's got a big old split in there. Like I said, this is pretty good that this is the first one I'm doing live. Let's see if I can. I keep saying live, I'm sorry. But if you look, you can see it's split open right there. Alright, keep working this thing. Bummer, I was just at my storage unit yesterday grabbing some stuff for one of my buddies, and I was looking at some push rods I had sitting there, and I was like, oh, I forgot those are even there. Well, it looks like I might be making a trip down to get them if that lift is okay. So this is 110% confirmation, undeniable, that this thing was running on 7 cylinders. I'll move you guys over a little bit. What do we got there? You gonna stay there? You stay. Oh, wow, look at that. Let's see if you guys can see that. That end that pulled out of this side here, see that ball end here? That piece that kept pulling out, look at it, shot it right in on itself. The lifter split and it went right up inside. Wow. That's impressive. I've been breaking valve train components for 30-something years now. And I haven't had that happen yet. Look at that. Dang. Alright, yeah, see this is the piece out of the other end. So I think it's a safe bet I gotta replace all of these. Because like I said, this one here pulled right out. So I wonder if that collapsed right away and then just smacking on the rock around loosened the bolt, or if that backed off and the impact of this smacking caused this to compact. I bet it was a problem of it backed off and this started crushing in. Didn't help that I still did 8 runs down the track and some serious burnouts at full throttle, and full throttle runs down the track either. That's pretty wild. Look at that thing, all the way in there. That little end went right inside. Sorry, excuse me, a little burpy today. All right, I'm gonna grab the borescope, go down there and look at the top of that lifter, make sure there's no concerns down there. And then at that point, I think I got to chase some push rods. All right, moment of truth. Did I mess up the lifter also down there? If so, one of the lifters was already bad anyway. If not, oh, I think we're in luck, guys and girls. Yeah, that looks nice and smooth down there. That little center area over there. Let me see if I can get that thing centered again. Yeah, that little center area there. If that would be all beat up right in there if there was an issue. So that's good. That's awesome. That's huge. Just get a little sideways there. All right. Yeah, and that retainer right there, that's a crossbar that attaches from one to the other one. That looks good. That's because if the lifter was coming too high, it could have broken that off. But that looks good. I think we're in God's pocket here. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with seeing what I saw. Beautiful. Take that as a win. Leaving O'Reilly's. They had one in stock, $3.50. We'll take that. That's a cheap repair. And then also, look over there. We got a Ford Ranchero. It had like GT emblems on it and stuff. Somebody's out enjoying the weather today. I dig it. All right, we got our new push rod. I think that looks a little better than that. Just a little bit. So we'll get that down in there. Saw there was a little puddle of oil in the lifter, so I'm not overly concerned with dabbing the end of that with oil. I think it'll be just fine. Now, just grab a little oil from the bottom corner here. Put a little extra at the top here. We got a big pocket back there. There we go. Anytime you're dealing with the roller lifters, one side is flat in there. If you look, see that one's all rounded. You flip it over and it's flat there. You always got to make sure the rounded end's down and the flat side is up for the bottom of your nut to be able to sit flat on it. I pulled apart plenty of cars where that thing was put in backwards. And basically that rounded edge, it's like a razor. It just cuts into these and just, it's no good. So always be aware of that. And now, let's get this thing adjusted. All right, so we got our little razor blade shim here. 24 thousandths shim, is that what that was? There we go. That's perfect. Now, we lock that one down extra good, just in case. And now the next step is going to be exploratory. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. So I'll put this on time lapse for a minute while I stop messing with something else. And if I can make what I need, then I'll put you back on live while we install it and see how it works. This is what I'm talking about. Back alley, this place here, Nashua Engine Rebuilders. Yeah, Nashua Engine Rebuilders in Nashua, New Hampshire. Super nice guys. I came in last minute of the day. I'm looking for a valve keepers and a retainer for just an old set of small block Chevy heads. And rummaged through all the stuff he had. He had the exact identical one and a couple of new keepers for me. And hook me up. Good people. If you're in New Hampshire, Nashua area, and you need some engine rebuilding work, Nashua Engine Rebuilders. Super nice guys, I can tell you that. And definitely a good working machine shop. Looks like they do a little bit of everything in the house. So if you guys watch it, thanks again for the hookup today. And otherwise, I'm going to get back to work. Yeah, so that was pretty awesome. So there they are. They're exactly identical, even the same color. And he gave me some extra keepers, so that was awesome. I was trying to make a shim, because basically what it is the tapered hole in the middle is like worn and the keepers are sitting too deep. I was trying to make a cone shaped shim of sheet aluminum that I have. If I could have made that happen, I could have got that between the keeper and the retainers, and that would have brought that valve stem up where I needed it to be, and it would have been fine, because that thing's aluminum, shim would have been aluminum. It would have been fine if it was one piece, so it couldn't come out cone shaped. But the sheet aluminum I had, it kept ripping and stuff like that, so that wasn't working. Colby made a call real quick to just a random local machine shop, and they were like, "Oh, come down and take a peek." And that's Nashua Engine Rebuilders that I went to, and they were right up the street. They were way closer than driving down my guy. That's like, I have two guys. One's like 40 minutes away, and the other one's probably like an hour and a half or more away. So this was good. He was like 20 minutes away, shot over there, grabbed it, came right back. So now I'll get this back together.
There we go. That's what we want to see. The stem sticking up higher. Before, that stem was down lower than that inner lip. So that did it.
Well, moment of truth. Retainer's in, keeper's in, valves adjusted in the back one, and I just brake cleaned the spark plug. Hopefully that's enough. Let's see how this thing sounds. Hopefully it sounds like it's running on 8 cylinders now. ahead and do a burnout.
Still running smooth?
I don't know. It sounded like it was a little poppy out of that side there. All right. So a couple of things. That rocker backed off immensely, and that push rod collapsed on itself. The other keeper, that wasn't really causing an issue. That could have caused an issue to come apart later on. But because of how dang loud this thing is with these zoomies, this thing had a 3/8 vacuum port on the back of the intake wide open. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it happens. That was a big problem with idling, and that's why I was like burning the tires off the line, because this thing didn't want to idle for crap. Plus it was misfiring on 7 cylinders, so it wasn't just an idle I was going after, it was misfiring and dumping smoke and oil out that pipe. So it sounded super smooth once we plugged that vacuum port, readjusted the carb and whatnot, and it sounded really good. Then I did the burnout, and now for some reason that rear cylinder, you put your fingers over it and you can feel each cylinder fire, like doot, 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 and then cylinder 8, the rear one, it's like the thing's got some power behind it coming out that exhaust, and it's a little more poppy sounding now than when I just first adjusted the idle before the burnout. So I don't know if I broke another push rod or something like that, but I'm gonna pop that valve cover back off and just see if there's anything kind of sketchy going on in there. All right, putting you guys on video again, so if I find anything crazy in here, some carnage, you guys will see it firsthand. You'll see my reaction to it probably. Something's definitely, like I said, it sounds really snappy over here, like one cylinder snapping more than the rest. And like I said, that one's pushing my hand off more than the rest of them. So I was definitely doing more work than it was up the dragway, because that thing, you could tell there was something coming out of there. But everything that was coming out of there was pulling past the rings and just popping out of the way. So, moment of truth.
Oh. That one's loose again, and it's lower than the rest. Wonder if that O'Reilly's pushrod broke right off. Oh boy, you might be in for a treat. Oh, would help if I grabbed the 5/8 and not 9/16. And let's start a drum roll right about now. What do you think, drum roll or that like the horror movie lead up music? Shock music. Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. Yep. Cheap welded on ball. Broke right off. Let's see if that'll focus. Oh, where's the camera coming from? Over here somewhere. Yeah, so that's broken clean off. That's what we want to see. And that's what we have here. There we go. Hopefully that is sitting in the lifter and I can fish it out of there, because I don't want to wonder if that went down through the motor somewhere. Alright, I don't have a magnet yet, but I have the horoscope out. Let's hope that that thing is sitting right in the top of that lifter. I don't want to have to pull the intake just to find that thing. Is it on the side? I think that's just a puddle of oil. I think it shot out of there. You can see it. Yeah. I can't see where you guys are looking, but it's right up in that top corner of that screen up there. You guys can see top far, top right hand corner. See it sitting way over there. Now, question is that somewhere I can get to? No. Far over is that? Let's see, over there. That is right beside the next lifter forward. So maybe. Maybe if I pull this rocker and push rod, the camera in there and go down here with the magnet, I might be able to fish it. Alright, this is going to take a while. Alright, so I'm going to enlist Colby's services here. And I'm going to have him manhandle the camera once we get it down there. And then I'm going to fish in from the other side with the magnet and just see. Oh, right there. Hold that right there. You're holding it like clockwise a little bit twisted. Okay. You're okay. Now, hopefully, we get over there far enough. Oh, come on, the lifter. I don't want to pull the lifter out of the hole. Hold on, I'm just past the head. Yeah, keep it down there now, okay? I'm going to back this next one off, even though it's all the way up. I don't know if I'll be able to have enough threads to back it off without it shooting off. This one, where the push rod goes through, the head's down lower, so I might be able to come at a little bit more of an angle. Watch your eye, the thing falling off there. Bing! I have to pull them off anyway, because I got to change all these push rods. I can't trust them at this point. Alright. Permission to bend this thing, Colby? Go ahead. Try and not kink it. Give it a little caress where we might be able to straighten it out afterwards.
Oh, right next to the lifter.
Yeah, we're right next to this one here. That's why I was trying to go down this one first. Yeah, I keep working the lifter. I think the head's like too close to the lifter.
Oh, close. Yeah, close. So close.
Oh!
Yeah.
Now if it'll just stay on there.
Get stuck to the lifter.
Oh yeah! Look at that. That's sweet victory right there. That means I don't have to pull the intake off. Colby's magnet may never be the same again. That's got a little bit of a bow to it here.
That's all right.
Let's see if we can caress this thing back. I did a real gentle bend to it. Kind of like I was.
Lucky that ball didn't take the rods.
I know. I saw it missing and it wasn't in the lifter, and I was like, damn it. Look at that, Colby. It's like nothing ever even happened.
Good as new.
Collapses in. She's good. Well, that's it for now. That's as much as I can do tonight. So basically we get that broken off push rod. That push rod is just what was available through O'Reilly's at the Mellings. And that ball is just like welded on the end. And you can see that thing just snapped right off. I think it's just a matter of the pressure on the springs and the amount of lift that this has, because this has 600 lift, I think it is, and none of them were broken before I messed with it, and one broke because the rocker backed off and it was impacting. It was basically slamming that thing with a hammer, so that was my fault. Now this one, pretty much guarantee it's just because it's just a cheapy stock replacement that the motor's going to reach maybe 5,000 RPM. During the burnout, I don't have a tack in it. That might have been 6,500 or so and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of good performance push rods in my storage container. So I'm probably going to check that tomorrow, and wanted to be working on my house tomorrow. I also want to get this resolved. Not 2 weekends from now, I have another event I want to do, and I want to be able to pound the snot out of this thing. So yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for today. Motor's all apart again, but not all apart in a bad way. This is pretty easy. And the fact we were able to fish that ball out of the intake, out of the lifter valley, jackpot. So I will check in either tomorrow or the next day with an update on getting all the other push rods in it, and then we'll run it again. And sorry neighbors, might have to do another test fire burnout to see if it's going to break right away again. But if not, I'll get a trailer, I'll bring it to an industrial park, have at it, see what happens. Thanks for watching. Oh, and also forgot to say, I did a bunch of videoing on this one. Obviously, if you're watching the video, it's probably super long. Apologize for that. But you tell me, would you rather the video be longer with more detail and like actual live working on things, or would you rather it be shorter with more content in it, where I can cover a lot more hours? And like I said, just trying to get feedback, see what people like, because I want to make this work. Let's make this work. If so, hopefully I can entertain you guys for years to come. And yeah, let's see what happens. Anyway, thanks again for watching. You guys are all awesome.